Microbrands, small batch, craft brew, all very good in their own right. But sometimes they lead people to stretch a little too far into the eccentricities of those particular hobbies or crafts. I'm not saying that microbrands are done, but the market is definitely saturated, and I feel like I'm done. I'm not the first, I won't be the last to touch on this topic. Jeff McMahon, and I believe Not So Obvious Watches, we go through cycles as watch collectors and enthusiasts. And there is definitely some structure to these cycles. I've experienced them firsthand. And unfortunately, they feed into my personality traits even harder than maybe other hobbies that I've gotten into. I end up just going in so hard, oversaturating my free time with research and reading and watching videos, and it doesn't matter for me. Anything from playing darts to whiskeys to my Jeep. It's endless for me. And so the watch culture really feeds that. And Microbrands provided an option as an outlet to try a lot of different watches at a relatively low budget buy-in. So $500, sub $500, Microbrands sort of live there. That's been my experience, I'm sure. And yes, there are examples of Microbrands that are much higher than $500. I would tell you to be careful of some of those, but some have been really successful and have made success stories out of that. Christopher Ward being one that I can think of off the top of my head right now. And to some, I may appear ungrateful because for those who've been paying attention to my channel, you'll notice that I've had definitely, anecdotally, a lot of Microbrand watches on my channel. I've had watches given to me by Microbrands. So it would appear that I've... Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Microbrand watches come with a certain amount of peril. And my opinion is potentially very controversial on this. And recently on Two Broke Watch Snobs, episode 246, Are We Done with Microbrands? They really only skimmed it. I was, as a listener to their podcast, sort of anticipating a harder hitting conversation points, but the guys just sort of skimmed through it. It talked about their experiences with Microbrands. Are they personally done with Microbrands? I felt like, because I'm the listener at this moment, and because I have a more controversial point of view at the time, I felt a little let down. So I had a conversation with someone who shall remain nameless at this time about how I felt let down by the podcast at that time that they weren't hard-hitting enough with the conversation. And that as a YouTube channel, I've had a tremendous number of microbrands lend in and give me watches. And so to come out and say that I'm done with microbrands, point here, bullet point, note, asterisk, whatever you want to call it, footnote, I'm anticipating receiving a couple of watches in the new year that are from microbrands for review, not to keep, just for review. But I am looking forward to these because they appear, by all accounts, to be of a much higher quality than some of the other microbrands I've experienced. Let's try this again. So in the earlier clips there, you were seeing a barbecue in the background. I actually had stuff on the barbecue and had to leave. So I'm finally getting back to finishing this little bit of a rant on microbrands. And I appreciate doing these videos more when they're off the cuff, and so sometimes the presentation of the idea that's in my head is a little disjointed. So the microbrands and the microbrand watches I've received, it's part of their, I suspect it's part of their marketing, their costs, their expenses. They must understand that if they pass out a microbrand, a watch for free for review, they anticipate that because of the review, potentially getting more sales. So it's not a completely one-sided conversation where I am sat here bashing microbrands. But again, for my own personal tastes and collecting at this time, I think I'm pretty much done with microbrands. And the more I think out and process this sort of train of thought, I'm much more hesitant about all my watch purchases, but I feel like microbrands might be out of my I'm sort of done with them. And to be very specific, for the larger sort of group of collectors, if you're new to it and you're just getting into microbrands, this is just a point of caution, I suspect. Don't let me completely push you away from microbrands, because there is a lot to experience. There is a lot to have sort of fun with in that price point of sub $500. But I do believe that at this time, given microbrands sort of being, especially those microbrands who are one and done, they have the one model, and they've been around for a number of years, maybe, that one model, and they haven't produced any more. Maybe a little bit more caution could be given to a purchase there. But a microbrand that has more than one model, it's been around for a number of years, and you have to really want that watch. You have to be fairly confident in that purchase, because for the most part, as we all know, watches and the enthusiast community and collecting comes with not just the acquisition and the collecting of the items, but the flipping and the selling to fund the next purchase. And so that can be difficult with microbrand watches, as I said before, because of the eccentricities of certain colorways and design choices that microbrands are sometimes sort of popular or known for. It gets a little bit more troublesome to move one, sell one, if you want to, if you're done with it and you want to sort of help fund that next purchase of that next watch that you have your eye on, which is the sickness of the watch addiction. So that's really it. I think that puts together most of my thoughts, is that and sort of to summarize, I do think the market is all for microbrands is saturated. There is a tremendous amount of choice out there. And then you have the clomage. This is a term I'm hearing lately again. Clomage, a copy, and a homage, a clone or a homage, sorry. So this clomage type of watch, like San Martin, Parnas, and so on, Heimdallr, Sharkey, etc., are saturating the market with those pieces, and it is very difficult sometimes for microbrands to compete with that side of the market. So, always buyer beware. Don't let yourself get too quickly caught up. And see, now I'm just ruining the fun for someone else. So maybe I should stop here and just let it sort of simmer or marinate. Anyways, hope you are having a good Christmas holiday, and if you're so inclined, for the Christmas season, and Happy New Year to all of you out there.